guys, Mrs. Brumwell here. All right, so this video is going to go over the 1.1 examples. So what we're focusing on in these examples is how to properly name geometric figures. So we're really going to be focused on the notation here. Again, this is kind of like the grammar of math. And so this is a big part that we're going to use all throughout the year. So we're just setting the foundation up in this first section. Okay, so what is another name for M? So right away when I see this is a lowercase italicized m. So lowercase italicized letter is the only thing we use that for is to name lines. So I'm going to look for in this figure a line called M. Also, if you forgot that this is a line, you could look in this figure and find where M is, and it's right next to this line. So they're asking for what's another way we can name that same figure without that lowercase script letter. Instead, remember, another way I can name a line is by picking 2 points on the line with a line symbol over the top. So I can pick any two. So I'm going to do F and C. And then I need to make sure I put the line symbol over the top so that I know it's a line and not a segment or a ray. Okay, name a pair of opposite rays. So remember, opposite rays are rays that come together and form an endpoint, but they go in opposite directions. Opposite rays also form a line. So this line that I actually just named could be formed by 2 opposite rays, starting at B going this direction, starting at B going that direction. Those would be opposite rays. So I'm going to name BC with the ray symbol, so I only have the arrow going on one side of that symbol. And actually, it's really important when I name a ray that the endpoint always comes first. It doesn't matter. So when I name this one, I'm not going to name it FB. I still need to list B first because B is the endpoint where the ray starts from. And then I'm going to list a point that it goes through. And here's the other kind of weird thing. You would think maybe I would do the ray symbol the other direction. We actually always do the ray symbol from left to right. Just again, kind of a notation thing. We read left to right. The arrow symbol on the right always goes from left to right. Okay, number 3. Name the intersection of the 2 planes. Remember, kind of these rectangles or parallelograms are what we use to represent planes, since we can't actually draw something that goes forever. So I have this plane right here, and this other one kind of cutting through it in the middle. So remember the postulate 115, actually right up here. So it says if 2 planes intersect, they intersect at a line. And here's kind of a picture showing that. Those 2 planes intersect, they form a line. So these 2 planes are intersecting along this line. And so remember, we can name it the same way we did number 1. I could pick 2 different letters on the line, or I can name it using that script letter M. So I'm going to do that. So I like to put a little kind of curl on it to show that it's script. Okay, name the intersection of 2 lines. So another postulate that you had, 114, says if 2 lines intersect, they intersect at a single point. So there's my picture, 2 lines crossing, they have to cross at just 1 point. So my 2 lines in this figure, so here's a line, here's another line, at which point do they cross? They intersect at B. And remember, anytime I'm just naming a point, I just use a capital letter, there's no symbol to go with it. All right, next. Okay, this kind of goes with the 1.3 vocab, that was angles. And so we're going to use this figure this time to name angles. Okay, so we're going to name a right angle. So remember, anytime I need to name an angle, I need this angle symbol. And then I'm going to use the vertex as my middle letter. So in this one, I have a lot of different angles around Y. So if I just called something angle Y, I wouldn't know which angle it was talking about. So this is a perfect case where I want to use 3 letters to name an angle. So we want a right angle. So the right angle, remember, is signified with that little box. So this angle right here is a right angle. So I can name it VYX or XYV. Those are the best ways to name it. You can choose which one you want to do. Okay. Now I'm going to name an acute angle. So acute is something less than 90. I have 2 options. I could pick this one or this one. I'm going to do the 35-degree angle. I'm going to call it XYZ. Again, with the angle symbol, X, Y, Z. Name an obtuse angle. Okay, so an obtuse angle is something bigger than 90. So if I put like this 90 with this 35, that would be an obtuse angle. So I could go from V to Y to Z, and that would be an obtuse angle. V, Y, Z. Straight angle. So remember, straight angle is an angle that forms a straight line. So that's going to be this whole thing together. So I could call it VYW. Every time Y is my middle letter, because that is the vertex where the angle comes together. Okay, true or false? Angle XZY is 35 degrees. So I do see a 35 degree here, but they named the angle in kind of a funky order. This angle needs to be named with Y as the middle letter, either XYZ or ZYX. They did not put Y as the middle letter. So the angle they're talking about, angle XZY, is X to Z to Y. So they're actually talking about this angle. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's 35, so we're going to say false. We don't know that to be true. Okay, the only other thing I want to mention, you guys, and I did mention this in the 131 video, but remember when I'm just naming an angle, I don't use that little M. If I'm talking about the measurement of an angle, that's when I put the angle M in there. So if I was asked like, what's the measurement of angle XYZ? Then I would put a little M in there and say measure of angle XYZ. Actually, I'm gonna do it down here. Measure of angle XYZ is 35. Okay, so that little M, I'm actually gonna put it in there too because it should have one. The measure of an angle with a number, that's when I put that little M in front. Okay, that's all for the 1.1 examples. Thanks for watching.